So, hello everyone. So, we are going to start series of lectures for electronic devices and circuits for GATE ECE students. So, these series of lectures are not completely packed with the theory of electronic devices, nor completely packed with solving problems for GATE. Okay, but this provides a good balance between amount of theory that you need to have for electronic devices and also how to tackle the tricky problems that were going to be asked in GATE examination. Okay, this series of lectures will be a mixture of both theory and problem solving. Okay, so before going to electronic devices and circuits, let me give you a brief overview of what kind of subjects that you are going to have in your GATE examination for ECE students. The subjects are electromagnetic waves and transmission lines, electronic devices and circuits, networks, signals and systems, control systems, analog electronics, digital electronics, communications, and aptitude, and finally maths. So these are the 10 subjects that you are having in GATE examination for ECE. So the ideal order that needs to be followed for preparing GATE is, this is the order that you need to be following, but it's not good to start with EMWTL because many students feel that EMWTL is somewhat difficult when compared to the other subjects. So starting off with a difficult subject makes the preparation going to be very difficult. So let's start with electronic devices and circuits at first, and then the rest sequence will be continued. In between, we are going to have EMWTL lectures also. Okay. So why this is the ideal or good order to be followed for preparation of GATE, or not a matter of GATE, but why this order to be followed? Okay. So because the concepts in EMWTL are going to be applied in EDC to specific structures like PN junctions, BJTs, MOSFETs, MOSFETs, and many things like concepts like electric field, potential, Gauss laws, continuity equations. Okay, all those things, conductivity, all those things are going which are going to be learned in EMWTL are going to be applied to specific materials or structures of electronic devices and circuits. And also networks is a constrained environment with certain assumptions made in EMWTL to make it easier to solve that leads you to networks. Okay, so always it's not necessary to find out electric field and potential. It is good enough to have the terminal characteristics like current and voltage. So the voltage and current characteristics are quite sufficient for networks to analyze the network's behavior up to very interest of frequencies range. Okay, but these are very good up to certain frequency range, and if you are going for microwave frequency range, then might be electric field and potential will come into picture. Okay, then in parallel with networks you can learn signals and systems. So the concepts like suppose if you're having an LDA system, okay, and the input is a pure tone, or you can call it as sinusoidal signal. So what will be the output? The output will also be same tone, that is with same frequency sinusoidal, but it will be a scaled version of it, and with some delay attached to it, but no new frequencies will be generated at the output of the LDA system. And so here we are studying taking the system as a black box. We are not going to be bothered about what are the components that are present in the system, and we know that it's an LTI system, that's it. We are not going to be bothered about what are the components that are going to be present in that system. So for an LTI system, the input is given a pure sinusoidal. What will be the output? And so in the signals and systems, entire signals and system subject, we are going to treat systems as a black box. We are knowing only the behavior of the system, whether it is an LTI or LTV or nonlinear, only such things, but we are not going to have knowledge on how those systems are made. Okay, only system as a black box is treated, and signals are applied at the input, and what will be the outputs of the systems. Okay, so all such things will be covered in signals. And in analog electronics and networks, how the system is made, how to synthesize a circuit, how to synthesize a system, how to analyze a system, all those things will be learned in networks and analog. Okay, we are going to design those circuits in networks, some circuits in networks, and mostly in analog electronics. Okay, suppose you are having a RC circuit, that is an LTA system here. Okay, Generally, RC circuit is an LTA system. We are having linear capacitor and linear resistor. So then if you are having an LTA, here you are having an RC circuit, then you are applying a sinusoidal signal, then what will be the output? So that concept you are going to learn in signals. So if a sinusoidal signal is applied to an RC network, which is an LTA system, then the output will also be a sinusoidal with amplitude scale and phase shift. Okay, so these are somewhat interrelated. Okay, and then after learning signals and systems, the concepts like Laplace transforms and what is the impulse response, what is the frequency response, what is convolution, all those topics will be quite helpful in control systems. Okay, in control systems, mainly Laplace transform having huge application in control systems. Okay, final value theorem, initial value theorem, impulse response, convolution, all those things are having its applications in control systems. So once the control systems is completed, then you should come to analog electronics. So after the completion of these 4 subjects, only then you should go to analog electronics if you are studying it for the first time. Okay, all these things I am saying to you, thinking that you are encountering each subject for the first time. Suppose you are having expertise in one of the subject most, then you can start with that subject only. Okay, then it's not a bother. So but once you are having this knowledge in these 4 subjects, then you can go for analog electronics. Why? The materials by which a transistor is made or the diode is made are PN junctions, BJTs, okay, and MOSFETs and MOSCAPs. With all those materials and devices, we are going to make amplifiers, we are going to make clippers, clampers, all those things, right? So having a good knowledge of them in EDC will make you easier job. But we are not going to deal that devices and circuits in a microscopic level. Here we are going to take only at a very high level knowledge of those devices, and then we are going to apply in analog electronics. Okay, and then networks is anyway very much necessary for solving circuits in analog electronics. Network theorems are very much useful. 2-port networks, so our amplifiers are 2-port networks. Okay, then studying 2-port networks in networks and system helps you better. Okay, and then in analog electronics, suppose you are going to design op amp or OTA, operational transconductance amplifier, or you are finding some frequency response for some common collector or common base or cascade amplifier, then the concepts like frequency response, which are going to learn in signals, and stability concepts, which are going to learn in controls, Nyquist plots, Bode plots, all such things which are going to learn in these 2 subjects will be helpful in analog electronics. Okay, so they will be finding huge applications. Then you can go for digital electronics, so where both domains are quantized or discretized, that is both time and amplitude are discrete. Then you can go for communications, but before going to communications, you should be pretty much confident with probability and random theory, which are going to learn in mathematics. Okay, or what you can do is in maths you are going to study probability and random theory in somewhat different manner, but when it comes to communications, you are going to study it in specific manner, which is going to be applied in communications itself. Okay, but in communications, random theory and signal and probability is very much important, the topic, and also the topic, all the circuits which are going to design in communications, which are going to treat them in communications as a black box, like modulator, okay, or preamplifiers or filters, all those things you are already going to learn in analog electronics. Okay, so then after that in digital electronics, already I said probability and random theory is very much important for digital communications, and then you can start aptitude, or you can start aptitude at first or anywhere in between. Okay, but max, where does max fall in these subjects, fall in the picture? Okay, so in max, the topics like calculus, vector calculus, integral calculus, differential calculus, all those are very much important in MWTL. Suppose Gauss law, divergence theorem, Stokes theorem, Green's theorem, cylindrical coordinate system, Cartesian coordinate system, spherical coordinate system, all those things are very much useful in MWTL. And probability and random theory is helpful in communications, and matrices is also helpful in error codes, block codes, all those things. Okay, And also, yeah, yeah, that's it. So this is a brief overview of the subjects for GATE for EC students. Now let me show you the syllabus that we are going to cover for electronic devices and circuits in this series of lectures. So this is a syllabus we are going to plan to cover. So the order may be somewhat different when you are delivering the lectures, but entirely this is the syllabus we are going to cover. At first we are going to start with some introduction basic concepts, okay, then semiconductor equations. So in semiconductor equations, the topics like what is drift and diffusion current equations, what is continuity equation, what is Gauss law, what are the concepts like of recombination and generation, all those things will be dealt in semiconductor equations. And then what are intrinsic semiconductors, what are extrinsic semiconductors, what is a Fermi level, what is doping, what are n-type and p-type, and what group of elements in periodic table correspond to donors and what correspond to acceptors. All those things will be dealt in these two concepts topics. Then we are going to deal with energy band diagrams. So in energy band diagrams we are going to follow two approaches. The first approach is, or the first thing we are going to cover is, given an energy band diagram, how the information to be extracted from the energy band diagram. So suppose if an energy band diagram is given, so to what structure does this energy band diagram correspond to? So whether the structure is doped or undoped, whether the device, if it is doped, whether it is p-type doped or n-type doped, whether it is heavily doped or lightly doped, okay, and whether it is homojunction device or heterojunction device, what is the energy band gap of that device, okay, what is the doping concentration, what is electron affinity, what is metal work function. All those things we are going to see in energy band diagrams, and whether the device or the semiconductor device is in equilibrium, if not, why, and what is the intrinsic Fermi level, what is the extrinsic Fermi level, what are the conditions that to be followed to be the semiconductor to be in equilibrium, what is the drift current, whether there is a drift current present in this band by seeing this energy band diagram. Can we say by seeing this energy band diagram whether the drift current is present in this device or not, whether diffusion current is present in this device or not, okay, all such things. And the second way is, suppose a structure is given to you, suppose a PN junction homojunction is given, or a PN heterojunction is given to you, or a MOS capacitor is given, BJT, PIN diode, or MOS cap, a MOSFET, all is given to you. What is the approach that needs to be followed to draw the energy band diagram? That is the second way we are going to, or second topic that we are going to deal with in energy band diagrams. Once all these topics are completed, in between of each topic we are going to solve problems related to them. Suppose if semiconductor equation is done, so we are going to solve problems related to them, and then we will be coming to energy band diagrams and solving problems in energy band diagrams. So we are going to do in that way, okay. So after that we are going to deal with PN junctions in a very great detail, okay, what is built-in potential and what is built-in electric field, what is charge neutrality, and also what are the boundary conditions, what is depletion region, what is depletion width formula. So what happens to the depletion layer in reverse bias and in forward bias, what if one side of the PN junction is heavily doped, okay, and many such things we are going to see in PN junctions, and then problems related to each topic in the PN junction. And then here we are going to give you a brief idea how BJT came into existence, or how BJT is thought from PN junctions, okay, but a little very brief idea we are going to give it here. And then we are going to see MOS capacitor, because MOS capacitor lays you a foundation to go for MOSFET, okay. Here we are going to see topics like inversion, depletion, accumulation, and what is flat band voltage, what is body effect, what is body coefficient, and what is linear region, cutoff region, saturation region. And we are also going to see what are the CV characteristics of MOSFET or MOSCAP, okay, how those vary in linear region, how those vary in saturation region or in cutoff region, what is subthreshold slope, okay, how why nowadays people are going for tunnel fits, fin fits, gate all around, all those things. But this last topic like subthreshold slope, fin fit, all those things, we are going to give very brief introduction to them because those are not necessary for gate examination. A very brief introduction, okay. And then we are going to solve some problems in MOSFET and MOSFET, okay. Finally, we will be coming to bipolar junction transistor. There we are going to see what are the regions that BJT is can be operated in active region, inverse active region, in saturation. So all such things and configurations of BJT like common collector, common emitter, common base and problems related to them. Okay, what is early effect? What is the small signal model of BJT? So all such things we are going to see. In MOSFET also we are going to see common drain, common gate, common source, what is body effect, what is output impedance, okay, channel, that is channel length modulation concept in MOSFET, all those things, okay. And once we are completed, we are done with all these topics. Now we are going to see some specific applications for semiconductor devices like solar cells, light emitting diodes, photodiodes, all such things. So here we are going to see what is fill factor, what is internal quantum efficiency, what is quantum efficiency, what is responsivity, and what is the relation between all these things, okay. Then what are the materials that are used for LEDs, photodiodes and solar cells, why those materials are used, all such things. Then we are going to solve some problems related to diodes, Zener diodes like voltage regulator problems, clippers problems, clampers problems, voltage doublets, triplets, okay. But not to that much extent because we are going to cover them in greater detail in analog electronics, okay. Then we'll be seeing the little bit concept of CMOS inverter and some MOSFET circuit problems also we are going to solve. And at last, if time permits, we are going to see breakdown mechanisms like Zener breakdown, avalanche breakdown, okay. So this is the complete syllabus we are going to plan for this series of lectures, but if you find any topic that need to be added, please let us know in the comment section by commenting, okay. So that's it for this video guys, thank you very much.